Let's have a swig. Go on. I can still recall our last summer. Hello and welcome back to the attic with me, Lou. I hope you are surviving and or thriving. I'm not really. Let's be real. So what's new? The attic is in the midst of a makeover. So it's a tad empty up in here. You see, the roof was leaking, so I was having to put bowls out to collect the rainwater. I did feel a little bit like Merlin, but I didn't have a talking owl keeping me company. But what are you gonna do, eh? What else have I done? Oh yeah, Christmas happened.
The goose! The goose!
That happened. So there we go, all caught up. So why are we here today? Well, this video is totally unnecessary, much like all my other videos, but I'm making it nonetheless. Today I'm here to tell you, and there's really no two ways about it, that I am hooked on Mamma Mia. Here we go again.
My, how can I resist you?
This won't come as a surprise to a lot of you, but this has quickly become my 2020 comfort film. I just can't get enough. I watched it a few times over the lockdowns. I watched it the other day. I'll probably watch it again very soon. I just feel really soothed when it's on. And then I feel really hollow when it's over. And I don't know what that says about me.
It's only natural, but why did it have to be me?
I want to preface this by saying that I'm aware that this isn't a critically groundbreaking film. You know, if you're looking for The Godfather, then this probably isn't the film for you. But if you like The Godfather Part 2, you might quite enjoy Mamma Mia. Here we go again. For one, it's a sequel prequel. This one takes you into the backstory of the matriarchal figure from the first film, not unlike the patriarchal character Don Corleone's background in Godfather Part 2. Mamma Mia, here we go again, sees Sophie taking over her mother's business in the hotel. Godfather Part 2 sees Michael taking over for his father as the Don. And it's a sequel that some people like as much as, if not more than, the original. It's probably about as far as the comparisons go, but my point is, don't be fooled. Mamma Mia 2 has got a lot going for it. I'm not even going to call it a guilty pleasure, because guilty implies that it's wrong, and if loving this film is wrong, I don't want to be right. Now, I'm not going to hold back on anything plot-wise, so if you haven't seen it and my Godfather argument just won you over, then perhaps you should abandon ship, lest I spoil anything for you. But if you've already seen it, or you have absolutely zero interest in seeing it, then stick around, because you got nothing to lose. And I promise you I'm not drunk, I'm just having one beer. Now let me start by saying that this film and its predecessor could have easily gone one of two ways for me, purely for the fact that it's a musical. Now, I love me a musical. I often say that I have a love-hate relationship with musicals, but I rewatched Oliver and The Sound of Music over the festive period, and the love is so strong right now, I don't want to pretend otherwise. However, with modern musicals, there is this fine line for me, and that's mainly because the very notion of someone becoming so overwhelmed, so overcome with emotion, that they feel the need to burst into song, it seems a little bit excessive, and it makes me a tad uncomfortable at times. And if you're thinking, wait a minute, didn't you go out of your way to write a musical that one time?
The best damn show in town.
Yes. Yes, I did. Look, I don't know how it works. When I love them, I love them. When I don't, I really don't. There's not a lot of logic behind it. It's a gut thing. But if a musical is built exclusively on ABBA songs, then that's a real gamble, in my opinion, because you've either got to be an ABBA fan or ABBA tolerant to survive. And before I'd seen either of these films, I wasn't particularly either of those things. When I was a kid, I wasn't the biggest fan of ABBA because I thought that they were too cheesy. But what is too cheesy? Cheese is relative. Take Glee, for example. Many people's favourite, not my cup of tea. It made me feel uncomfortable the majority of the time, particularly anything involving Mr. Shoe. Hey. However, the High School Musical films, I'm a big fan. Particularly High School Musical 3, because those song and dance numbers are out of control. They are next level. I don't want to hear otherwise, okay? I know it's corny as hell, but it's not trying to be anything but that. It knows its audience and it gets the job done. And I think that's why it wins me over. And it's exactly the same with Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. It's a cheese fest. On a scale of 1 to cheese, it would be a stinking bishop. It's an assault on the senses to some, but a delight to others. It is touch and go though. Like at the beginning when Lily James starts singing When I Kissed the Teacher. I'm a little bit hesitant there, because if that ever happened in any graduation that I was attending, I think I'd be so embarrassed I'd want to peel my own skin off. Yet, when Baby Baranski and Walters run on, and they just look like they're having so much fun that I calm down a bit. And then by the end of it, everyone's singing and dancing. And it's so far from reality that I can just get comfortable. I can just sit back and let myself get absorbed in that. Because it turns out I'm quite partial to a graduation ensemble number. Waterloo is also pretty cringe. But I love the dancing waiters. And that lady who just slays it in the wheelchair. I love it. And while I'm at it, One of Us Is Crying is also quite cringy.
Wishing he had never left at all.
But you know what? I've seen it so many times, I'm totally desensitized. I'm just immune to all the cheese now. I'm immune to all the cheese in this film. I mean, at the end of the day, when you take a bunch of ABBA songs and just whack them into a narrative about a group of white people on a Greek island, I don't think it needs to be taken too seriously, you know? That being said, it ain't all sunshine and roses. This film is really, really sad because Meryl Streep's character Donna has passed away, and everyone spends the entire film talking about how much they miss her and how much they wish she was there. And it's very sentimental and nostalgic with its references to the first film. Like when Pierce Brosnan sings SOS and starts welling up. Man alive. And anytime they play instrumental versions of songs from the first film, so like Chiquitita or Our Last Summer, when I hear those, I get a lump in my throat. And then right at the end, Meryl Streep makes her appearance.
Like an image passing by, my love, my life.
Fuck me. I cannot get through this film without crying. It's a real tearjerker. But it's these references to the first film that make you feel like you're part of the bigger picture. Even if it's just subliminal, even if it goes unnoticed or you're not actually realizing it. There's familiarity there, you're part of it. And there's something quite comforting about that when it's in something so wholesome. And it's the same with the characters. All the originals are back and it's lovely. The establishing's been done. We know who they are and they're just as we remember them. Christine Baranski and Julie Walters steal the show yet again. I think a particular highlight for me is when Christine Baranski does that high kick in Angel Eyes.
You think you're in paradise.
What a woman. And Jessica Keenan Wynn, not only is she uncanny, but she's freaking hilarious too.
My point is actually that I love him and I want to have his babies and eventually push him around in a wheelchair and scatter his ashes.
I see.
The legacy men are on top form, as are the younger versions of the males. But there's this nice new level now. There's this private joke that we all know that Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth and Stellan Skarsgård can't really sing or dance very well. They know it, we know it. So the fact is they don't do a lot of it in this film, and then when they have to do it, it's done in such a playful, like, here we go guys way, that it's like you're in on the joke and it's fun that you get to share it with them, to the point that in the finale, all they do is sit down and have a beer. What a hoot. I mean, that's not all they do, but they don't do much more. And credit to Colin Firth for delivering possibly one of my favourite lines in the film.
I just told Bill, he's my best friend.
And I told Harry, his father number 3. I told many, many people.
I think Lily James is great as the young Donna. She really manages to carry the film in the absence of Streep. She's just so stunning. I don't know if I want to be her or if I want to marry her, but She's fabulous, whatever it is, and she's got a lovely voice.
I was cheated by you, and I think you know when.
But most importantly, what does this film have in common with Beetlejuice? The best character doesn't have all that much screen time.
Mes enfants, je suis arrivé.
Oh my god, I love this woman so much. She's barely in this film, but everything she says is solid gold.
You know, so if being a grudge holder makes you fat?
To the woman of this and every hour.
You're too kind.
They mean Sophie.
I don't know that. You were a little pitchy.
Now I just want to take a moment to give some mad respect to Cher. Not only because she's a fabulous singer, not only because she rescued the world's loneliest elephant, not only because she's a goddess, but because she is a damn fine actor. And if you are unfamiliar with her catalogue of work and think that I'm perhaps being ironic in any way, shape or form, then you are sadly mistaken. And if you don't believe me, educate yourself, because the woman won a damn Oscar. I also heard that she was considered to play the role of Adrian in Rocky. Oh, I love the Rocky films, and I wouldn't change them. But is there this tiny part of me that wishes there was an alternative version of all the Rocky films that Cher was in? Yeah. I mean, Rocky 4 is verging on perfection. Kind of want to see what Cher would have added to it, if I'm really honest. And before you ask, yes, I have seen the One Woman West Side Story.
When you're a jam, you stay a jam. Tonight, we're gonna rock it tonight. We're gonna jam tonight.
And I think it is spectacular. I'm also a huge fan of the film Mermaids. Cher, Bob Hoskins, Winona Ryder and a baby Christina Ricci all in the same film? Yes, please. And her performance is incredible. She gets me crying every time.
The only thing that we ever agreed on was that you were a wonderful child.
You know what else gets me crying? Mamma Mia 2. So as I mentioned, this film is a tearjerker predominantly because of the emotional plot line. However, there are some moments that are so joyous that I get overwhelmed by all the happiness and I cry. So that scene where Harry and Bill arrive on the boats with all the fishermen. And when Cher and Andy Garcia sing Fernando.
Mi amor, Mexico, 1959.
Can you hear the drums, Fernando?
I am a mess. A, because Cher.
I was so afraid, Fernando.
And B, because Andy Garcia sells that shit.
Coming your return. I could hear the distant drums and sounds of bugle calls were coming from afar.
I am sold. I am 100% convinced that these two characters had a love affair in Mexico back in the day, and they are still very much in love with each other. He is so committed to the role of Señor Cienfuegos, he is not fucking around. I even saw in the DVD extras, that's right, I've watched all the extras, I'm that person. I'm not ashamed. At the very end, when it's the finale, and Cher gets up on stage to sing Super Trooper, all he had to do was stand there, give her a kiss, and then walk away. But he insisted on sticking around so he could watch her and dance in the crowd. And now all I can notice is him in the background.
I was sick and tired of everything.
What a pro. What a damn fine actor. And I mean fine in all senses of the word. If there's one thing I didn't know I needed in my life, it was Cher and Andy Garcia singing an ABBA song. But it keeps me going. I am aware that Fernando is quite an obscure song to try and fit into a narrative like this, and much like the character of Ruby and Señor Cienfuegos, perhaps it's unnecessary. But to me, it makes all the sense. I don't second guess it for a moment, and I'm so glad they shoehorned it in because it's my favourite. Fun fact, I was part of the Hearsay fan club when I was 10. If you don't know who Hearsay are, they were a manufactured pop group from the TV show Pop Stars, and I had their album Pop Stars, and I created a musical in the privacy of my bedroom that I would perform from time to time, obviously by myself.
I will be playing all the parts. Thank you.
I created a musical using the songs, tracks 1 to 13, in order. I created this whole storyline that connected each of these songs. I didn't do the last 2 songs because they were covers. It was very difficult finding a scenario for each song that not only fit the context of the song, but of my storyline as a whole. So I respect what they're doing, because it is difficult, and I would know because I've experienced it firsthand. But in regards to the shoehorning of songs in Mamma Mia 2, you just kind of have to roll with it. You got to accept it. Don't try and rationalize it. You just have to deal with the fact that it's not always going to make sense. Because not everything in this film does make sense. Like the fact that Cher plays Meryl Streep's mother, even though she's only about 3 years older than her. Or the fact that Harry, Bill and Sam look like this in the flashbacks, which totally contradicts what we'd seen in the first film. In fact, all the information from the first film seems to have been ignored in regards to the flashbacks. And what about the fact that the Greek band from the bar don't age a day from the 70s to present? Or the fact that Tanya and Rosie have stuck with the same haircut for nearly 40 damn years. But you know what? Give a shit. I certainly don't. I'm not here for the gritty realism. I'm here for the escape. I want to frolic on a Greek island. I want the sunshine. I want Donna's entire wardrobe. I tried to dress a bit like Meryl Streep by wearing my dungarees today, but I do look a bit more like an Afghan hound if it were in the film The Lighthouse, but that's kind of my aesthetic, so we'll just roll with that. But I want to sing and dance ABBA with my friends. I can't do that right now, so I just have to keep watching the film so I can live through them. The fact that Donna rocks up to Paris and then Greece, no plan, no job, bangs 3 charming strangers, is gifted, yes, gifted a farmhouse on a Greek island that she can then not only live in, but gain an income from and set up a business, and then raises a baby without being tied down to a man. You might say I'm jealous. You might say I'm making notes for 2021. Who knows, really? But for now, I'll just keep living vicariously through Lily James. You know what? This is a great film. For me, this is a great film. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's ridiculous, it's sad. It's not a one-note film, it's complex. It dances that fine line between comedy and tragedy. And I am obsessed. Ol Parker said that this film and the use of ABBA's music in it are both heartbreaking and hopeful, which in itself is a contradiction, but a totally human and relatable one. And I hope 2021 brings everyone way more hope than it does heartbreak. But if indulging in a bit of cheese in the meantime is the way that you choose to get by, then just fucking go for it. Declare your love, embrace it, sing it from the rooftops like you're Meryl fucking Streep.
Mamma mia, here I go again. My, how can I resist ya?
So there we go. That's probably the end. Well done if you made it all the way through. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you feel so inclined. Share with a fan of the film. Why the devil not? And I would recommend going and watching Mamma Mia 2. Or The Godfather Part 2. Either or, really. I'm probably going to go listen to some Cher. But stay safe, stay cool. Happy New Year. Thank you for the music. And thank you for your time. Slipping through my fingers all the time. I try to catch every minute.